Hi, my name is Dr. Faria Bukhari, Dr. Fab MD. I'm right now over here at Phoenix City Hall. Today, the date is 4th of April, 2024, and I'm here to protest for the right of self-defense of the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine. We have been talking about this for a long time, and if this constitutional right of self-defense had been given to the people of Palestine a long time ago, and if they had been given their rightful access to be claimed as a state internationally, then what we are seeing today would not have happened. 7th October would not have happened. A lot of people, innocent civilians, whether they were Muslims, Christians, Jews, atheists, or any kind of religion, their lives could have been saved. But we saw for the last more than 7 decades, we have been listening to the same rhetoric. We have been hearing the same narrative that only one side has the right of self-defense. And that side is the side of Israel. It is a unilateral provision given to one side and taken away from the other side. For the last 7+ decades, the people of Palestine have been dehumanized. And I'm here to prove to you in 2 words how the US presidents have dehumanized the people of Palestine one after another. Whether it comes to their right of self-defense, their right of statehood, their right of freedom of speech, their right of access to health care, their right of access to food, their right of access to equal voice at all international platforms. It has been strategically decided, manipulated, and implemented that the people of Palestine are going to be dehumanized for good. So what we are seeing in the last 6 months is an open violation of all kinds of international charter and US Constitution. US Constitution does not allow the US government to fund or arm a genocide. And in the last 6 months, we are seeing Israel commit a genocide of innocent civilians, children, unarmed women, doctors, teachers, aid workers, you just name it. Millions of people of Gaza are getting starved today because starvation is a weapon of mass destruction used as a tool by the United States government, all on US tax dollars. If people of Palestine had been given their right of self-defense a long time ago, if their children had been protected by deploying the United Nations Peace Corps to contain the aggression and the apartheid that Israel has imposed upon them for the last 7+ decades, what happened on 7th October would not have happened. There wouldn't have been any Hamas. Today I ask the American people, you have been told that Hamas is a terrorist. You don't want Hamas to operate within Palestine within Gaza, then tell me, who is going to do the self-defense of the children of Gaza if there's no more Hamas, when Israelis are detaining young children, harvesting their organs to sell in the black market, when Israelis are detaining activists, journalists, and thousands of Palestinians, unchecked, undeterred, who's going to come to their rescue? Who's going to make sure that the Palestinian children have a right to attend their schools without getting bulldozed by the IDF? For many years, I've campaigned for the deployment of the United Nations Peace Corps within the territory of Gaza and the West Bank to provide that protection and self-defense to the children and the women and the civilians. And nobody listened to me, because it has been strategically decided, manipulated, and implemented that Palestinians are going to be dehumanized, that they're not going to be given equal rights, that they're not going to be treated like human beings, that if they're exterminated or neutralized in the military language, then it will be called collateral damage, and no questions will be asked, no repercussions will happen, no apology will be demanded, expected, or received. We have 7 Western aid workers get massacred by the IDF, and the entire Western leadership starts demanding for an apology from the Israeli regime. Why? Because they were Western? They were non-Muslims? What was different about the 7 aid workers for whom an apology was demanded, expected, and received? How were they different from the 35,000 civilians of Gaza who were butchered in the last 6 months by the Israeli regime and by the US bombs sent by the US president? So what was different about those 7 aid workers that made the US president demand an apology, that made Rishi Sunak from UK demand an apology from Netanyahu, and that apology was demanded, expected, and received? What was different? Was it their color? Was it their religion? Was it their nationality? Was it their background? How come no apology was either demanded, expected, or received when it came to the 35,000 innocent civilians of the people of Gaza who have been massacred in the last 6 months? How come no apology has been demanded, expected, and received when schools have been taken down, when mosques have been desecrated, when churches have been demolished, when the archaeological sites and the United Nations monuments have been bombed, when more than 130 journalists have been killed indiscriminately, when almost 200 aid workers have been annihilated, when recently, just the other day, an embassy in Damascus of a foreign country got bombed. How come no apology demanded from IDF, from Netanyahu? How come no apology expected? How come no apology received? So tell me if this is not Islamophobia when it comes to the rogue policies of the US government, the Western governments that are standing behind the US government right now. On one hand, the US president is saying that he is overwhelmed with the loss of civilian life and will ensure that nothing like that happens again. And on the other hand, he is sending billions of dollars to Israel, and who is sending more arms to Israel. I mean, do you think the world is stupid? This is the height of hypocrisy, that on one hand you say you're a peacekeeper and you're trying to stop a genocide and you're going to prevent a genocide, and at the same time you're sending funds, you're sending arms to the perpetrators of the genocide. So if the people of Palestine pick up weapons to try to protect their children from Israeli aggression, they're called terrorists. And when they do not pick up weapons and they succumb and give up and give in to such aggression, atrocities, war crimes, they are called collateral damage by the American government. Nobody acknowledges that a genocide is happening, and nobody is willing to confront Biden for committing this genocide against the United Nations Charter, against the US Constitution. If I commit a crime as a US citizen and take someone's life, God forbid, I will be petitioned, arrested, indicted, sent to jail forever because I broke a law of this country. But if the president of this country commits a genocide that is now looking at numbers of 35,000 and more, all actions forgiven, no questions asked, no repercussions, no petitioning, no indictment, no arrest. How do you expect the world to change or democracy to happen in US if war criminals are allowed to continue to act in a rogue fashion? So how do you expect an average American to respect the law of this country if the president of this country is allowed to break the law of this country without any check and balance? If the US president breaks laws, it's okay. And if an average American citizen breaks laws, it's not okay. It's incarceration forever. And you call this democracy? Is this democracy? No. This is autocracy. This is communism. You are not in a democratic United States. This is the communist regime of Biden that is currently ruling the American people. You don't want Hamas? Then figure out a way to give the people of Palestine their right of self-defense. The people of Palestine are not non-humans, unlike most of the Israeli leadership has stated. They want them exterminated like cockroaches. They are saying they have the right to kill a baby of Palestine. Why? Because that baby is going to grow up and become a terrorist. This is their justification. Can you believe it? What IDF did to those 7 Western aid workers was as per the Hannibal Directive. As per the Hannibal Directive, for the greater good, it is okay to kill an American citizen, to kill British citizens, to kill Australian citizens, even if they're not carrying weapons, even if they're not a threat, so that by killing them, all aid work coming for the help of civilians of Gaza can be stopped. This was a cold-blooded, premeditated murder by the Israeli regime as per the Hannibal Directive. They did not want the famine, the man created, the US created, the Israel created famine to end in Gaza, and that is why they killed the 7 aid workers of the International World Kitchen. And after that, we saw that all aid coming to Gaza got stopped. So the mission got accomplished. They're using starvation as a weapon of mass destruction against the people of Palestine. They have used every crime in the dictionary of international war crimes so far. Have you seen the bullets they are using to attack little children? They have been using white phosphorus bombs. But no questions asked, no apologies demanded, expected, or received. In fact, more aid, more money, more arms, more soldiers sent to Israel to enforce more genocide and more massacre, more war crimes. When Iraq happened in 2003, 1 million Iraqi civilians were killed by George Bush. And right now, 20 years later, we have another genocide happening on US tax dollars by a US president and its ruling regime. And we're watching, doing nothing. How come nobody is impeaching Biden for breaking the United States Constitution? How come nobody is working hard to try to get United Nations Peace Corps deployed in the region of Gaza to ensure that lives of these children can get protected, that aid can be delivered to these children, and a famine can be diverted? Again, in 2003, Iraq happened. 1 million Iraqis got killed. no apology demanded, expected, or received from George Bush. During Obama's time, Syria got lit up purposefully into a civil war that displaced millions and millions of Syrians. We saw little 4-year-old Syrian children show up on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea as their boats capsized. No apology demanded, no apology expected, no apology received. Libya got invaded for the greater good, Gaddafi got taken down, and the whole country was lit up into a state of war, conflict, bloodshed. And it is still not stable. It is a nidus for terrorism. It has become so unstable that it has become a nidus for terrorism against the American people. Bad strategy, bad move, but no questions asked, no apology demanded, expected, or received. Yemen crisis, US pushed Saudi Arabia and Iran to go to war against each other. In Yemen, more than 1 million Yemenis starving as a result. Children getting killed, murdered from starvation. No apology demanded, no apology expected, no apology received. Afghanistan, yes, 9/11 happened, yes. I'm against Al-Qaeda. 2 billion Muslims of the world demanded to apologize for the actions of a terrorist faction that they never owned, that they never condoned to. And for the last a quarter of a century, every Muslim has been expected, demanded to apologize for the actions of Al-Qaeda that committed 9/11, even though these Muslims had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda or 9/11, and they were Muslims who were killed also in 9/11. Muslims of the world, not just in the Middle East, but in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, united, fought against terrorists called Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Khawarij, or the dogs of hell, fought against them for peace. Because it was the right thing to do. But when Israel is working on the same lines as Al-Qaeda, when Israel is committing atrocities, committing terrorism against innocent civilians, against little babies of Gaza, against journalists, against aid workers, and just bombed an embassy, nobody expects, demands an apology, and we have yet to receive an apology from anybody. Should we ask the American people, the European people, the British people, the Canadians, the Australians, should we demand an apology from all of you for the actions of Israel? Just like we, the Muslims, were demanded to apologize for the actions of Al-Qaeda? No. We are not going to demand an apology from you guys. Even though for the last quarter of a century, every Muslim has been forced to apologize for the actions of Al-Qaeda, even though Muslims have been fighting against Al-Qaeda. Muslims have been sacrificing their lives against Al-Qaeda. More than 100,000 Pakistanis sacrificed their lives in the war against terrorism. They fought against Al-Qaeda. They made sure another 9/11 doesn't happen out of Afghanistan. But when it comes to Israel's terrorism against Muslim brothers and sisters of Gaza, we do not want you to apologize, my American brothers and sisters, like you expected us to apologize when 9/11 happened. All we want from you is to follow the law of this country, period. This is our only demand from all of you, from the 350 million Americans. Kindly abide by the law of this country. And what does the law of this country say? The law of this country says that if a genocide is being committed by a country anywhere in the world, you cannot fund that genocide, you cannot arm that genocide, you cannot support that genocide. That is all we want from you. We don't want your apology because you have nothing to do with what Israel is doing. Just like we didn't have anything to do with what Al-Qaeda did on 9/11. Terrorism was committed against the American people on 9/11. The price was paid by 2 billion Muslims who got ostracized, who got bullied, harassed for a crime they never committed or condoned to. We are not going to do that to you. Because the pain and suffering the entire Muslim world had to go through after 9/11, we do not want you to go through that pain and suffering. The only thing we demand, we ask, we request humbly. We're not even demanding. Because it's not our religion that teaches us to demand. I have seen the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in my dream twice. And trust me, there is nothing like demanding in his personality. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's personality is sweet, humble, smiling, and very soft, very nice, very charismatic. I'm talking to you from my own personal experience. Not everybody gets the opportunity to see the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his dream. I'm the lucky one. And let me tell you, his personality is not the kind that would demand or push. This is not how he spread Islam. So we do not demand from you anything. We just request. We just request the American people to kindly follow your law and make sure that your president and your ruling regime follows the law of your country. Because if the law can be broken for Israel today, as per the Hannibal Directive, the genocide that is massacring and butchering the babies of Gaza could come back home over here. I spoke about this on my last protest in January, about the ulterior motive behind the entire Gaza escalation. The actual target is the United States of America. And I'm here to warn you. They want to transfer the wealth and power of the 350 million Americans to Israel and UK. And there's a reason why Biden was eating ice cream and the Secretary of Defense, Austin Lloyd, was hospitalized without notifying the White House when Kim Jong-un from North Korea was testing his underwater nukes. There's a reason why nobody's talking about North Korea in the United States mainstream media. Everybody is obsessed with Hamas. Hamas is a distraction. North Korea is being engineered by the British elite to get United States nuked soon. They want to do it 6 months before the elections. And the reason for that is because they need enough time to be able to transfer the wealth and power of this country to their countries before the next election. And in order to do so, they have decided to decimate the United States of America. And there's a way they're going to do it. We have the upcoming solar eclipse on Monday. You know what happens when the solar eclipse happens? The comms go down and the whole world gets more vulnerable and susceptible to a cyber attack. The satellite system goes down when the solar eclipse happens. And they are right now working on a particle accelerator in CERN that they're going to be using on the 8th of April 2024. So if you have any bunkers on the 8th of April, go into your bunkers. If you have any basements, go into basements, store food, essential supplies, because they may try to attack you on the 8th of April 2024. And Biden administration is not interested in stopping them because it is currently colluding with them. It is so corrupt that as per the Hannibal Directive, it is willing to get the entire United States of America nuked for the greater good. Just like those 7 aid workers were attacked strategically, manipulatively, so that all aid could be stopped from going into Gaza. They think they cannot control you guys anymore, so they want to take you down. They want to transfer your power and wealth to themselves in UK or Israel. And this is why nobody is talking about North Korea. North Korea has nukes, nobody cares. Iran may make a bomb, everybody is obsessed. And Hamas is the biggest deal right now for the last 6 months. If United Nations Peace Corps get deployed today on the soil of Gaza to stop the massacre happening at the hands of IDF against the people of Gaza, to stop the genocide, when you give the children of Gaza their legitimate right of self-defense via United Nations Peace Corps, you can expect Hamas to have less say. But what you have been doing through your government is making Hamas more powerful, stronger, and invincible. And how you're doing it is by fueling a genocide. Since 7th October, as per the Hannibal Directive, the same hostages whose lives were used as a justification to invade Gaza, attack and commit a genocide have been killed by the IDF bombs and bullets as per the Hannibal Directive. Netanyahu doesn't care about the lives of the hostages anymore. He never did. It was all about conquering Gaza. It was all about exterminating the entire population of Gaza. It was all about converting Gaza into a profitable seaport that can be built by the BlackRock organization for more profits. It was all about drilling the offshore gas reserves of Gaza. It was never about the hostages. And this is why Netanyahu refuses to abide by the resolution of ceasefire that just got processed in the United Nations Security Council. And because Netanyahu knows that he has the backup of the US president, who has just in the last 48 hours decided to give Israel more arms, more weapons, and more funds. Israel has decided it does not want a two-state solution. It can only allow one state, and that is the state of Israel. And actually, it is not going to settle just on the state of Israel. It wants a greater Israel. The fact that today American people are flooding the streets of America, US, Canada, and the Canadians are flooding the streets of Canada. The British are flooding the streets of Britain. Australians are flooding the streets of Australia for the Palestine people, but nobody's listening to them, is a proof that the leaders of United States of America, Canada, UK, European Union, Australia have sold these countries and states to the greater Israel ownership. Now, the Western countries have become a colony occupied by the greater Israel territory. Because once the United States Constitution is broken to allow the constitution of a foreign country, the sovereignty of this country is already sabotaged. And I did not sabotage this constitution and sovereignty. Your own president did. By breaking the law for a foreign country, your own Congress did. Your own electables who are sitting in the US Congress, in the House of Representatives, whether Republicans, whether Democrats, whether independents, on the paychecks of super PACs, of IPAC, they have sabotaged the sovereignty of the United States of America and sold it, converted it into a greater Israel. You should not call yourself American anymore. You're not American anymore. Your rulers have made you Israelis. You have lost your identity. You have lost your sovereignty. You have lost your present. And you're going to lose your future if you don't do anything about it. 8 April 2024, they will try to attack you. Beware. Stop them if you can today. Give peace a chance. Invoke a ceasefire. Make sure Netanyahu is forced to listen to you and is forced to read and abide by your constitution if he's getting funds and arms from you, and has been getting them for so many years. And if he refuses to do so, then Netanyahu should be indicted in the United States highest court of law. If Joe Biden refuses to acknowledge the Constitution of the United States, selling it to the highest bidder, IPAC, and converting you all into Israelis of the greater Israel, then you have to impeach Biden. You have to force Biden to acknowledge the Constitution of this country, and you have to inform Biden that this is not the United States of Israel. This is not greater Israel. This is the United States of America. And this is a country that kicked out the British. This was formed on the principles of getting rid of colonialism and imperialism. When the British got kicked out by the American people to form and create this homeland, they did so to establish a country free of colonialism, free of imperialism. So if Israel tries to colonize this country today and impose its imperialism today, converting it into greater Israel, then this is your time to fight back and kick back. So this is not just about the freedom of Palestine. This is about the freedom of every American person, citizen, child, woman, and man. So today I ask you again, for the last time, I request you to follow your own country's constitution and ensure that your president follows the constitution of this country too. Otherwise, it is not just about the sovereignty of the state of Palestine. It is not just about the identity of the people of Palestine. It is about your identity too. It is about the sovereignty of your country too. Because right now, you have a serious national security threat. They have been ignoring North Korea for a reason. They have hyped up Hamas for a reason. Hamas wants to have a peaceful dialogue. But no one is interested in a peaceful dialogue because peace is not profitable. They want to carpet bomb Gaza, take over, create their own profitable seaport over there for war profits, drill the gas off the shore of Gaza, and they want to do it on your US tax dollars, and they want to do it by breaking your country's law, and they want to do it by taking your identity from you, calling you an Israeli, not an American anymore. And they want to do it by converting this country into Greater Israel and not the United States of America. So kindly ask your president to follow this constitution that does not allow the president to fund, arm, or facilitate a genocide. End the aid blockade that is happening right now in Gaza. Stop letting them use the Hunger Games, starvation as a weapon of mass destruction. Stop expecting them to get away with what they did in Iraq, Yemen, what they did in Syria, Libya, Afghanistan, Pakistan. Stop letting them get away with all of this. If Netanyahu has been asked, rightfully, to apologize for killing those 7-8 workers, then your president should be expected, demanded from, to make an apology for committing the genocide of 35,000 innocent civilians of Gaza in the last 6 months only. Because humanity has no color. Humanity has no religion. Humanity has no nationalism. If an American lives matter, so does the life of a Palestinian, so does the life of a British, so does the life of a Canadian, so does the life of an Iraqi, so does the life of a Syrian. We are all humans. Despite our differences, we share this world together. And supporting one genocide is gonna precipitate another genocide. And the next genocide is most likely going to be that of 350 American people, like I mentioned before. So if you don't want to do it for the people of Gaza, do it for your own self, do it for your own children, do it to prevent the genocide from hitting the roads of United States of America on 8 April 2024. One last thing before I leave is, the process of peace is not going to be mediated by the corrupt politicians and leaders of the world. The process of peace is not going to be mediated by the autocratic bureaucracy and the military strategists or the hungry, greedy military contractors. I'd want you to think about this, that the process of peace between Hamas and Israel should be mediated by non-controversial, non-profit organizations like MSF, Doctors Without Borders, that are selfless, that are not greedy, that do not have a conflict of interest. The reason why every peace mediation has failed to date is because the main actors working for peace have a conflict of interest. So we need mediators from the community of non-profits who are selfless, who are non-controversial, who are credible, and who have no conflict of interest, and who do not support the self-defense of one side and not the other, who do not dehumanize one side or the other, who believe in humanity, equality, justice, freedom. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye. Have a good day.